Hello, everyone. I'm Robert McDowell, the Poetry Mentor. You could visit me at robertmcdowell.net or poetrymentor.com. And it's my privilege today to be here in the lovely Long Island home of the Reverend Laura Tria, who is an interfaith minister and life coach. And I'm here to talk to her specifically about her work, her ministry. Hi, Laura.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very honored to be here in your presence.
This feels
And I have a lot of questions to ask you. I want to begin by asking you about your ministry. But before you talk to us about that, I do want to say a few words about this marvelous book, Her Story, which is the Reverend Laura's book about her ministry. And you can get a copy at her website, lauratria.com.
That's right.
And she'll probably have a lot more to say about what is in this wonderful book as she talks to us about her ministry. Please.
So hello everybody, and hello Robert. Thank you for seeing me today, and thank you for this interview. So you raised my book and you speak about my ministry, and that it's about my ministry, and it's one of the things that I do. But the ministry is more based on serving people. So as an interfaith minister, I don't serve a theology, I serve people. And people come in various religions and beliefs and theologies, and I find out where they are, and then I serve them. This book is so much about the feminine side to spirituality, where women sit in circle. And in circle, women get to explore, express their spiritual side differently than being in a patriarchal structure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's her story. That's her story as opposed to history. It's her story. Her story.
How did you come to the calling? Did you have was there an epiphany? Was there an aha moment that you said, this is what I must do?
There's been many aha moments. As a 5-year-old child, I knew that I wanted to be a priest. So raised in a Catholic family,
Yeah.
Catholic household, we attended church, and church as a 5-year-old was stained glass windows and lovely music, and somebody up in an altar wearing fabulous outfits and doing what seemed to be magic on the altar, and the audience was filled with
Not sacrifices.
not sacrifices,
Oh, okay.
not
Good,
sacrifices.
good,
No, he was
great.
doing what,
Oh,
and
okay.
the audience was peaceful, and they were singing, and it was love, and I thought at 5 years old, whoever that God guy is, I want to work for him. And then, of course, I was told I can't, because little girls can't do that. And so I decided I was going to be a nun.
Right.
And then I found out, of course, as an adolescent, when we're feeling our oats and being human, I found out that nuns couldn't be that. They couldn't have a husband, they couldn't have sex, or any of that. And so I broke up with God. He wasn't serving me well.
Uh-huh.
And
Was it a kind of conscious uncoupling, or was it?
it was conscious. I
yeah.
was like, I'm mad at you. I can't be any of the things I want to be. I wasn't being accepted for this. And so I started serving women instead. Yeah, I started serving women instead. Something moved me forward. Something moved me forward, and it's I can do nothing else with my life. I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I call a calling.
Okay.
A calling is when you have no choice. This is what you must do.
Right.
So
I can share with you that a couple of days ago I had the privilege of attending an ordination ceremony here in the Reverend Laura's home. The home was much transformed to accommodate upwards of 40 people who attended to watch the ordination of 7 women of various ages and various economic stratas, and it was a moving experience. It was a beautiful, emotional experience. I teared up several times watching these 7 women taking their vows and accepting their stoles and looking forward to beginning their own life journeys as interfaith ministers. And I got a glimpse in that ceremony of your community that you have created throughout the years. I'm gathering it's quite large and it's quite diverse.
Quite diverse.
Could you say something about the and you created an organization, did you not?
I did, the New Light Sanctuary. Correct.
I'm sorry?
New Light Sanctuary.
The New Light Sanctuary. Could you talk about your specific community of which you are the I guess it's okay to say you're the spiritual head.
Right,
spiritual,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I serve humanity, and that means that I have men, women, families who seek me out. And it used to be they sought me out because their religions were too boxed in for them.
Yes.
Like they didn't want to lose their connection to the divine, but they didn't want to live within the guidelines of any of the religions. And so I started serving people at wherever they were at. If they wanted to say God, that was fine. If they wanted to say goddess or divine or the universe, or if they were atheists and they just wanted to go within, wherever they were at,
Yes.
I started serving them. And so I created, and so one day a couple of women came to me and they said, we want to do what you do. And I said, okay, go to the seminary that I went into in Manhattan. And they said, no, we want you to teach. And I thought, oh, because sometimes you get a calling and you just say yes, because you don't know who's going to point you in that direction. I said, okay, I'll teach. And I started teaching. And so my ministry is not a building that people come to. Instead, New Light Sanctuary ministers show up where you need them. And sometimes it's about guiding people back to their theologies. Sometimes it's about freeing them in their own belief system and allowing them to find their connection. And so that's what these women are doing. These women are now going to go out in the world. Every generation, like you said, different cultures, different races. There's such a blend of people. It's delicious.
It is delicious.
It's delicious.
And it was inspiring. It was inspiring to be among them, to be among so much love and so much positive energy that was projected both inward and outward. I like what you said about your church being not a building, but of course, I'm assuming you think of it probably as within the hearts of each member of the congregation, using the word loosely.
Exactly.
It's much more a community than a congregation.
Exactly. I was taught by a rabbi. I was taught by a rabbi, a priest, a swami, heads of different religions. And our rabbi said, what we're doing as interfaith ministers, we are not telling anyone that this is the way to be instead of what you already are. We're saying in addition to. And we say in addition to because in this world, with everyone melting the way that we melt nowadays because of technology, because I'm in New York, because we melt, we have to be able to blend with each other and honor each other. Not tolerate. There's a big difference between tolerating somebody's faith and understanding. So you can add on different pieces of all kinds of belief systems and be fine with it. Never instead of, but always in addition to.
Right. That's a beautiful way of summarizing and expressing. I also would love for you to say a few things about the specifics for those who are perhaps watching this and are not comfortable with or familiar with the dynamic of a women's circle.
Oh.
So what happens in a women's circle?
What happens in a women's circle?
Is it all right to ask that?
Oh, absolutely,
good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there are circles all over the world. Women are circling all over the world. They've been circling all over the world forever. What is a women's circle? Not including spirituality. Women get together and have a cup of tea and they talk about their life and what's going on, and they assist each other because that's what women do. Women group and we talk. So what we do in a spiritual circle is we group and I shut the lights off and we light little candles. And all of a sudden it's not a coffee clutch anymore. Because when you light candles, you automatically go into a different ambiance. Your spirituality is woken up. You're not so clear seeing people face to face.
Right.
And when the lights are low, we get to bang a drum. We sit with our drums, we bang drums, so we don't
Good.
speak.
Yeah.
Start banging drums. We chant, we meditate, and we do talk on different theologies, and we are circle because nobody is at the head of it. Each woman teaches the other women just by sharing.
Perfect. Great.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
And you mentioned that, and I'm aware of this, that women have circled since the beginning of human history, and that there are women's circles forming and meeting all the time all over the world.
This is true.
Which is encouraging, especially given all the challenges that we face in this particular world. But I wanted to ask too about the circles with relation to circles in the Me Too era, circles in the feminist eras, circles in a kind of fragmented men's movement in which there are men's movements afoot, but many men in those movements, and certainly men outside of those movements, are inhabiting a very difficult time and space right now, which I think of a lot as a space of confusion and uncertainty about how to be, not only how to be a man, but also how to be a man with awake women. That's a lot to respond to.
It's a
just
lot.
jump in wherever
just
you
jump
feel
in wherever.
comfortable.
That's
you
all.
feel
Just
like.
pick a piece.
Yeah, pick a piece and low-hanging fruit, or at the top of the tree.
We mentioned calling before. To have a
Yes.
calling.
Yes.
So to have a calling for me means that an idea came across, and the idea filled me, and I could do nothing else but what this idea was. I had to manifest what this idea was, and women's circles was my calling. Being an interfaith minister was my calling. I had no one to follow, so I had to create my own. And the powers that be stood behind me. Everything fell into alignment, and I moved forward powerfully. I sustained myself by serving humanity the way I serve. About a year or two ago, well, maybe a little bit longer, another voice came in, and it's exactly what you're talking about. Women are globally becoming empowered, not empowered, like they're knowing themselves and they're coming forward.
So they're coming more from a root chakra rather than the biceps. I love how you do that.
Love that. They're coming. They're
when
not
you do
out.
this,
Yeah, they're
when
not
you're
doing
this,
that.
You're thinking fist and bicep, but when you come here, you're here.
That's right. So a woman's core. Women live within their womb. Women feel first and think about what they're feeling afterwards. Whereas from the male point of view, it's a thought first and the feelings are another thing.
Exactly.
Women feel life, and when we live from our feeling, we are inner power, we become powerful. And so women are becoming that. And this calling, this new sense of, I don't want to lose our brothers. Where are our brothers? And so I have a new calling to help men find their inner, or find their feminine, because the feminine is very powerful and very rooted. And when you find that, you're just so much more able to be in balance in your life. So women have mastered this. The whole planet has mastered our masculinity. Everybody's bigger and better and doing and all that. But there's a femininity now that is powerful, and we cannot live without it. And it's bringing balance into the female creature. And I'm looking forward to assisting in bringing balance to the male creature so that we can both blend.
Exactly. Well, that's something that I deeply believe in, that not only must the feminine be improved, that's the wrong word, but awakened in the masculine, in the man, in men. But it needs then to find a balance with the masculine, because if it overwhelms the masculine, you have a very difficult and uncomfortable man in that regard.
So, if I may, women have been out of balance. We've been out of balance because our masculinity, we've mastered that because that's what the world accepts. So we've mastered our masculinity, and women have become, bigger, better, and all all that, and that's out of balance. When you can bring the feminine in and you can find both of them working together, then you can find balance. But that doesn't mean that men have to be like women or that women have to be like men.
Exactly.
I started my first Gather the People. So it's a circle, like I was explaining circles before, only this time it's with men and women. And here's
great.
what happened. Here's what happened. I asked the women who've been used to circling with me for 24 years to show up so that we could teach the men the songs and the chanting and all that. And we did our chants, and the men came in,
Yeah.
and they were singing in this high voice. And I said, wait, what are you doing? And they said, well, we're trying to sing with you. And I said, no, be men, you know. And I had the most courageous men show up for this. And the men allowed their voices to come out. And when you heard the two different sounds of the women's voices and the men's voices,
Right. So it was a great. It was a great. That was an aha moment where the men are coming in, you know, probably timid and really not knowing what to expect. And saying, "Hi, I'm here to work with you." And then all of a sudden it's like, "No, okay. Well, you mean it's fine that I can talk like this?"
I mean, listen. I hear the vibration in your male voice. It's delicious. It allows me to be alive, you know. And it allows you to be alive, and I appreciate that sound. Yeah. And when I hear the women's voices, I appreciate that sound. So when the men and when the women are in the room, I can have 30 women in my office.
Yes.
30 women. It's not a big office, and it's light and airy. Even though there's 30 women, we're kind of.
And I witnessed that just a couple of days ago, prior to the ordination ceremony, when many women were gathered back in your office. Getting ready and just, you know, well wishes and reminiscing and it was very much like that. I can also attest to the fact that Reverend Laura is quite creative in her efforts to find the balance of the masculine and the feminine, particularly in men, because one added benefit of my visiting here for a few days is that she has improved my salsa dancing. Actually, giving me, you know, salsa lessons so that I don't feel so awkward doing that. So
yeah,
that
and it's good to see you break through and just like, yes, I can do this, and you allow yourself, and that's one of the beauties of you. You allow yourself to check it out.
Right.
You're still gonna be a man. You're always gonna be a man, and that's beautiful. But to allow yourself to step into that other side of you. Oh, it's a thrill to watch.
A man with rhythm.
A man with rhythm.
So, you know, one of the benefits of perhaps a future visit between the two of us on camera, we might do we might do a salsa number for everyone. But that's to come. You have to stay tuned for that.
You know, that's the fun of it.
Right.
That's the fun of it. This is not all a heady thing.
Right.
It is a freeing.
That's it,
thing.
exactly. There's a form of play involved in not just the teaching, but also the receiving, and then the being together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, we have to, men and women have to remember that the play element is so important to waking us up and waking up the world as well.
You know, the women, when we're together, the topic of conversation sometimes is very serious, and the women cry with ease. You know, we cry, we allow ourselves to emote, and at the same time, we have to laugh at some of life's crises, because life can be that. Right. And then we're laughing in the next moment. And one of the beautiful things about serving humanity as opposed to serving a theology is that we get to step up and be our whole selves. And people are serious, confused, happy, sensual. They laugh. We're amazing creatures. And when we allow all of that to come through, we're balanced.
Mm-hmm. And I notice it's mirrored in the shadows of this beautiful room we're in, because in New York today it's a beautiful blue sky, but there are all kinds of clouds, and the wind is at about 25 miles an hour outside. So the trees are dancing, and shadows are changing constantly as the clouds blow in front of the sun and blow away from the sun, and the sun comes back again. And I think you can see that in the change of light.
You can see that, and we're also in my home, and this is real time, and so you might even hear the dog barking in the background, of which we will try a way to manage that for the next kinds of videos. But it shows you that life is real, and in the middle of life being real, we can be as deep or as light as we want to be. We don't have to be so prepared.
That's a beautiful thought, I think, on which to end. And I just want to thank you again for the visit, for allowing me to talk to you on camera about your ministry, which is fantastic. Tell people really quickly again how they can find you if someone would like to speak with you or work with you in any capacity. And she is remarkably open, if I may say so. Please share with everyone how to reach you.
So you can reach me at lauratria.com. Laura, L-A-U-R-A, Tria, T-R-I-A.com. And on that website, there's all kinds of contact information so that you can be in touch with me and I can assist you. So I am here to life coach. I am here to spiritually coach. I am here to have conversation to help you find who you want to be.
Thank you. The book is her story. The author is the Reverend Laura Tria. And thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.